Hello, accountability buddies. This is Les with another episode of Less is More Healthy. And I am again recording this from the road, trying to maximize that commute time so I'm not wasting any time. And this is episode 110, and this is probably the third time. This is the third time that I have reshot it. And yeah, so that's fun. I'm reshooting it this time. First time was just because I wasn't happy with how it came out before. This time is because I had audio issues. I mentioned in the previous episode that I was attempting to do some recording with alternative audio methods, and none of those worked out. They all sounded terrible. Um, I tried with my phone, and the Ulanzi just will not record to the phone well. Whatever it is about my phone, it doesn't record to it well. So that's really unfortunate. And so that's a thing. And I had the audio cut out. I think my microphone ran out of juice in the midst of the recording. So that's kind of frustrating. And then the Osmo Action, I don't have any windscreens on it because I'm using the Ulanzi microphone with a windscreen on it and then tucked into my shirt or on my helmet, and that usually sounds great. For whatever reason, the wind noise reduction on the Osmo Action wasn't working when the microphone cut out. It was awful. It was a terrible experience, and just sounded awful. So I'm re-recording. So this is episode 110, and on the episodes that end in zero, I do updates about my health and fitness as well as the bike. So I think the first thing to talk about in terms of health and fitness is um, I've been I've been commuting to work via bike, and it is 25 miles round trip, roundabout. On Fridays, I do have a tendency to take a longer route home, stop for something to eat. Um, and so that ends up being a little longer. And I feel good in the morning when I drive to work. It's been really nice. We've also had some cooler mornings, and that's been nice. So I haven't been just like a sweat puddle when I get to work. I mean, I'm still a sweat puddle, but not quite as awful as when it's really hot and humid, like most Augusts are here in Massachusetts. Um, Also, I notice that my heart uh, rate like returns to normal feeling. Like I don't feel like my heart's gonna explode out my chest. There were a few times when I was riding, especially up hills and whatnot, that I really felt like my heart was not doing well. Also, like when I ride up hills, there's a hill that I rode up when I first started riding, when I started doing longer rides. It's on Bridge Street after the closed bridge, and it's a long, kind of slow incline, and it just murdered me the first time I did it. And now I'm climbing that hill, and while I'm still gasping and wheezing at the top of it, it's not nearly as bad, and I recover much more quickly. And so I no longer feel like I'm gonna die at the top of that hill, which is kind of awesome. And I'm noticing that generally with other hills as well. When I go over the bridge, it's not nearly as bad. So I'm just generally like fitter. Also, my resting heart rate, I think the last time I did an update, it was in the low 70s, so like 72, 73. Now when I'm waking up, it's around 68, 69. 68 is the lowest I've seen it. And that's just kind of amazing to go from like mid 80s to high 60s over the course of not that long. So that's really positive. And generally speaking, I'm able to ride longer distances more easily. I did 33 miles yesterday on part of it on a brand new to me rail trail, and it was a really good ride. I didn't feel like at the end of it like my legs were just rubber. There were a couple of points in the ride where I was like, "Oh, my legs are jelly right now," but you need to take a breather, and it's fine. I do find that in the last 20 to 30 something miles, I need to take more breaks. Um, I noticed that I was not drinking as much water throughout the ride. I was kind of waiting until I had a break. Some of that had to do with the trail itself that I was riding, which I'll talk a little bit more about here at the end. The trail that I was riding was pretty rough, so I couldn't actually take my hand off the bars and take a drink of water. I could have lost control of the bike. So that's a whole other thing. So yeah, so my health and fitness continues to improve. My clothing is looser and not fitting well anymore, which is something I've consistently been bemoaning. Um, and it's to be expected that, I have changes in my body. Also, this is just sort of like, I think, an indication of how true it is that you can't really target fat areas on your body um, for change. Like, if you could target fat like areas of fat for change, my thighs would have no fat left on them because that's the majority of the muscle of my thighs, and my calves are the big muscles that I'm using as part of cycling. And my thighs are still chubby. My calves are a little less so. It's like my calves and my arms seem to be the first place I'm losing weight. It's also the last place where I gained weight, so that makes kind of sense. So I'm losing weight there first, or like the physicality of that is changing. Also, like I continue to, in terms of like weight loss, um, not lose so much weight, and I think at least part of that is because I'm gaining a fair amount of muscle, so less weight loss, more muscle gaining, um, which is really what we're looking for here, right? Like looking for gaining muscle, gaining fitness, not necessarily weight loss. Weight loss is sort of the secondary benefit of this journey. Um, and all right, so bike check. I did a bunch of bike maintenance this past weekend. I took Friday off from riding because I'd done 2 days of bike commute to work in a row, and I kind of just felt like my legs needed a little bit of time off from riding. And um, the the saddle that I'm using currently is pretty squishy and bouncy, and it's good for the commute. However, it's not great for longer times in the saddle. What I'm reading is that longer time in the saddle, something squishy, is less comfortable, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But apparently, a squishy saddle squishes and evens out the pressure to everywhere, which just means that you end up with saddle pressure everywhere and not localized to smaller areas. Anyway, this saddle is not great for that. So I'm going to be looking at buying another saddle. Yeah. Otherwise, the gearing has been really good. It's just like another indication of my fitness. I'm staying in the large outer ring on the front. Those gears on the like connected to the pedals. I'm staying in the large outer ring most of the time now, and then only switching down to the smaller ring uh, for hills, and only for like the most extreme of the hills. If I'm completely honest, most of the time I'm able to stay in that third ring, and only and shift down on that or shift up on that, so I'm in a higher gear for pedaling up. Um, hills. So that's all really good. Yeah, so that's a but so I did some the other bike maintenance that I did. I bought new derailleur hanger cables and new derailleur hangers, and also new brake pads for the front of the bike. Um, that bike, I didn't know that the hanger cables and hanger itself was going to make so much of a difference. But it really does. Like having a strong connection there really seems to just make the bike stop better. I mean, it was stopping pretty good anyway, but now it's just like, yeah, just that bike stops. There's a point where I was thinking of the front as mushy as it used to be, and when I went to brake, I really squeezed that front brake too hard and came to a screeching stop. I was really kind of surprised, but made a huge difference um, in the braking power of the bike. Just really nice. Um, I also adjusted the handlebars and the stem again, so it's a little higher and closer to me. Um, and I am now at the conclusion that I'm probably not going to be able to adjust this handlebar so that it's correct for me. I think it's too wide. The spot where my hands naturally want to rest is basically where all but the controls are. So I could switch over to a different style of shifter and possibly brake, but also it's not really not conducive to how I want the bike to be set up. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Uh, so yeah, so I'm pretty. The tires are also wearing really well. They're just now after a couple hundred miles. I think I've had them on the bike for 300-400 miles, which is kind of wild to think about. I did over 200 miles in July alone, um, and I've already done in August like 70 100. I've already done 100 miles this month. So yeah, but probably 300-400 miles on those tires, and they're looking good. Also really happy with them. They feel good. They feel better than the other tires. A little faster rolling. They were quite difficult on this recent rail trail. I'll make my next episode about the rail trail. Um, so yeah, so that's the episode, the 110 episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here and watching the videos. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.